listening, and please do not hesitate to put any questions in chat, because we will review the chat and I will either answer them directly immediately, or Marcin will answer via chat, and so on. So, okay, let's start. So when we go to the list of changes that we managed to do in Sycope 3.1, I prepared a small agenda for today. Of course, the complete list of changes is much longer. You can review it in our documentation in What's New section, but these are the points that I want to briefly discuss today. So first, some small things. We managed to add some improved user experience or user interface because we thought, okay, Sycope is now a very mature product. We see that we have some, let's say, legacy layers in the context menu, and we want the context menu to be as usable as possible. So we thought, okay, maybe we should redefine how we use the context menu, make some cleaning, reorganizing, and after the changes, we are certain that they are much, much easier to use and much more comfortable, and everything is much more logical. The other thing we notice is that very often our customers have a lot of columns for which sometimes they actually have empty values. So we introduce a small feature that allows you to hide the empty values whenever you don't want to see them. So it's much easier to read the contents of your data when you are automatically hiding empty values. We also have very nice improvements in quality of life. One small thing is that we have a new history panel that is very easy to access and very easy to look at your own history in Sycope to make it easier to come back to certain analysis. All right. We also introduced certain enhancements in lookups. So as some of you probably know, lookups are things that help you to map values from one value to another. And they are very, very performant, very, very useful. And we got feedback that in certain places it would be easier, for example, to search the lookups or redefine the lookups, and we made some improvements in there as well. And the main point of this release, if I may say so, is that we have new and improved integration possibilities. So we were thinking very, very long about what is really important in this class of systems. And we observed that very often there's like this discussion that, well, but do you have the SNMP system? Are you pulling data from this? Can I integrate it with my CMDB system? And so on and so on. So we decided, okay, let's make a change that will make it very easy for customers to integrate Sycope with basically any other existing products. So to make the integration easier and to make the integration complete, we introduce either new mechanisms or improved current mechanisms to make the bi-directional communication easier. So on one hand, you can now create custom streams, so custom tables in Sycope, and inject data to Sycope from any other system. Or the other way around, you can take full control of the body of the contents made by Sycope REST calls to external APIs when an alert is triggered or for some other reasons. We obviously have some new improvements in security model and enhancements in asset discovery models, and I will hopefully talk about it later on. All right. So first, again, in theory, let's talk about redesigned context menu. And I will keep the part of the presentation where I'm showing you slides to the minimum, and we will move to the product itself in a second. So I will show you everything in a live demonstration. So as I said, in our construction of the context menu that we think is extremely important for easy flow, easy navigation, and quick analysis, is that we observe that we have this, legacy layers that we added somewhere here, we added somewhere there, and after all those iterations, it was no longer coherent to our satisfaction. So we took a blank piece of paper and we said, okay, how we can make it better? So our idea was, okay, let's look at this from several perspectives. And this is basically the outcome of our brainstorm analysis of how to make it better. So right now we said to ourselves, first of all, different people use Sycope in very different ways, because we have performance module, we have probe data from deep packet inspection, we have security module, we have asset discovery module. So maybe we should allow people to have those very quick actions in the context menu. So right now we gave the user the power to have any shortcut he wants from the context menu in the very first position. So right now, if you have your favorite actions that you use in context menu and you use them often, you can have them in the quick action as well. So you don't have to look deeper in multiple levels. So you can save time and you can adjust the way in which the context menu looks, especially in the quick action sections, to your liking. All right. So this is the one part. And the other part is that we said, okay, let's group the actions from the context menu in some logical way. And the outcome is as follows. First of all, when you are doing analysis in Sycope, the drill down action is something that we recommend that you use the most. So whenever you are reviewing data in a chart or in a table, you can right click on any value, and then you can say, okay, I want to find something more about this value. So you can do a drill down, and drill down will either move you to a different dashboard in Sycope, or will show you additional graph in a model version. The other position in the menu is called now actions. So actions are things that we execute within the Sycope system. So there are things we perform. So for example, you can do ad hoc contextual analysis or check information using a lookup. And now we have a special position for send externally, because we noticed that certain things were kind of mixed up. So for example, when you are checking an IP address in an external IP reputation database, you need to remember that you're actually providing the information about this particular IP address to some external source. So we said, okay, we need to, for security or compliance reasons or whatever, stress it a little bit more that certain things are moved externally. So right now, whenever what you are doing in a right-click context menu will lead you to move outside of Sycope and possibly send some information externally to other systems, it should be moved to send externally context menu group. Then we have one more position called show. So basically, show will modify something that you are seeing. So you will stay within current dashboard, but we will modify something that you are seeing. For example, you can limit the IP addresses you're seeing to only private, or get additional information about DNS values, and so on and so on. All right. And the last position is called tools. And the position tools is, as the name suggests, something that will basically run something that you can think of as an external program. So right now, we only have one value in there to ping the addresses from the Sycope host to the particular IP. But in the future, probably we will add some other mechanisms in here as well. All right. So how the hide empty values look. So again, I will show you that in the live environment in a second, but I want to give you this brief overview first. So as you can see right now, when you hit the gear icon, there will be positioned hide empty values. So this will be visible in two ways. First, in all the tables, and second, in the advanced view that will give you the detailed information about particular row. So again, when you select hide empty values, all the rows, or let's say columns for this particular row, that have something that can be considered empty value will disappear and be hidden. So this will make reading the information much easier. You will only see the values that are non-null. All right. When it comes to history panel, we thought, well, after we made it, it's really, really useful. So we created a new icon that hopefully is very easy to view as a history, this clock icon. And after you hit it, you see a panel for which you see on which side you were within Sycope, with what query, and as well for what time range. And when it comes to lookup enhancements, for lookup enhancements, what we did is that there are two things. So one is that at the beginning in Sycope, when you were adding a new lookup, all you could do was import a CSV file. And we had some feedback that it might be easier to actually create this lookup within the Sycope graphical interface. So right now it is really possible. You can add row, add columns, define the types. So it's really, really easy to create a new lookup from scratch from within the Sycope system. And because the capabilities of lookup systems was growing, people were using it more and more, we also added the ability to have the deep search of lookups. So what does it mean? It means that very often you have a particular IP address and you actually want to see where and how it is defined in which lookups. So right now it is possible. You can search certain IP address in lookups by clicking the deep search icon, and it will give you the result by showing all the definitions. And as you can see, as I remind you, for this particular IP, because we very often define lookups as CIDRs, so the ranges of IPs, you can see in which definition of CIDR it is contained. So either in this or in this. So it's not only looking in a simple way for particular entries, but it also looks deeply in the ranges of IP addresses. So again, it makes it much easier to debug your lookups if you made a mistake in the definition or anything like this. All right, let me know if you have any questions so far. And again, I encourage you to ask any questions on chat that you want. All right. So now let's discuss the main point, new and improved integration possibilities. And again, hopefully you will be surprised how much is possible and how much value we presented to you with this new release. So again, let's start with something small. Take control of the contents of the REST API calls from Sycope system. So what does this allow me to do? So when I move to Sycope system, so as again, some of you know, when you were in the settings, you could go to external integrations and have the ability to add external destination. And the external destination, just like previously, you had the ability to define a REST client. So in here you gave a name, but this is a name used only internally for your needs. And then you decided if you use the method post, but basically this is the only option, what path you want to use, and what is the host, and what is the port, and obviously the protocol. Yeah. I'm going to put some values in here. It doesn't matter that much. And right now what you can do is, first, we gave you the possibility to change the content type. So in our testing and in the experience of our customers, we noticed that actually some APIs are very rigid in terms of what kind of content type they are accepting. So right now, not only you can choose a content type from a broader defined list, but you can actually add a different value in here as well. All right, so the biggest change that you will notice is custom payload. And as you can see in this custom payload, when you enable this toggle, you will see an empty text area. So it might look kind of scary, but again, different APIs require a different body of the call that is made. So we say, okay, if you have this particular need to make a very specific type of REST API call, you can do whatever you want. Okay, you can do whatever you want. So again, as we know from the Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you enable custom payload and you mess up your syntax, then you can have a problem and it will not work. So again, in here, you can type whatever you want. You have full control of what you write in here. So the best practice is look at the documentation of the REST API that you want to make the call to, copy and paste in here an example syntax. And after you did this, you can also use placeholders. So again, let's discuss the placeholders in a little bit more details. So first of all, the placeholders are the list that you see in here is related to our engine that comes up with alerts based on the rules that you set up. So whenever in your Sycope system alert is triggered due to one of the rules set up, you have the possibility to, and let's see this in action, you have this possibility to define the action. So let's add something in here. And as you can see in the actions, I can add something else. And again, right now I don't see any REST API action because I have nothing defined. So let's move in here. Let's try to save it. And again, I have the validation error on my contents. Hopefully this will be okay. Value should not be null, and a path. Go, go, go. Validation error. I must have messed up something as well. Let's check if it... Okay, so HTTPS. Okay, validation error action. Okay, this seems all right. Maybe I'll try to disable this for now. No, this is invalid. Okay. I have one more validation error. So maybe Marcin, in the background, can you help me out, because I'm making a syntax error that I am not seeing right now. I messed up something. Okay, this was the header because I was changing the header. So it gave me a small heart attack, but again, right now I can enable custom payload, go action. Okay. And click save. All right. So now when I go back to my templates, I can add rule from template, click something in here, and in the action, I should see in the third-party system, choose REST, and now I can choose test Sycope. Yeah, I can choose this Sycope. So again, I also need to say for which threshold to do this, but right now, whenever this action will be triggered for those thresholds, our system will make the REST API call that is defined in this test Sycope. So again, when I move here and I look what's going to happen in here, and in my custom payload, I can add whatever I want and put the placeholder that will be available to this call when the rule is triggered. So whenever Sycope triggers an alert due to a rule, there is a multitude of fields that you can take advantage of and put them in your alert, for example, like this. Okay, so again, you have full control of what is being sent and how it is being sent, and you can do whatever you want with this. Okay, so it makes it slightly more, let's say, complicated or complex, because right now you have to define the body of your API call. But on the other hand, it gives you possibility to make the contents of the body whatever you want and fit any system you want to integrate with. All right, so this is the way we change the communication from Sycope to external systems. One more thing that I want to show you regarding this is that we gave you also the possibility to define shortcuts with REST API. So right now, as you can see, I can choose this and I can add this as a context menu action. So again, I can say I wanted to have it for all the fields. Save it. I need to give it a main context API. And I can save it. And right now, when I go to raw data and I right click on any IP address, as you can see, in send externally, because we assume that with the REST API call you are sending it externally, you see that there is this shortcut. So this shortcut will take this value that was presented in here and use it as a special placeholder param. So you have to create external integration with REST APIs for right-click drill down and alerts slightly differently, but you can use it without any problems, and you can either manually trigger a REST API call with a value from a right click, or you can create a REST API external integration that will be used automatically via our alerting system. All right, so in here as well, you can see the redesigned context menu that I was telling you about. So as you can see in the drill down section, we have the options just like we did before, but we made our best effort to make all those actions internal. Then in actions, you can either set up a contextual analysis, it's also something new, look for value in lookups, check in one particular lookup, or add value to lookups. Yeah, so these are actions, things that you will do within the Sycope systems. In send externally, maybe one thing to mention right now, since we are looking at that, is that in the IP reputation, we added several additional IP reputation databases because we know that different people use different possibilities. So we want to make them all available to you as easy as possible. And as you can see right now, to go to IP reputation, you have to go send externally, IP reputation, and do something that you want. But if, for example, you are using Abuse IP database very often, you can go to Quick Actions, edit Quick Actions, and let's say from send externally IP reputation, I want to add IP Abuse IP database and save. And right now, when I go in here in Quick Actions, I have it available very, very quickly. Yeah, so basically quick actions is something that you can modify in the way you want. Again, I can go to edit and so let's say I want to have it lower and save it. And right now, the quick action menu will be exactly how you want it to be designed. All right, so we see the new quick action menu, we see new context menu, we see quick action, and we understand now, hopefully, how much you can do with REST API calls from Sycope to external systems. And now let's move to something that hopefully will make you use and love Sycope even more. Getting information from outside systems to Sycope. So obviously, Sycope, as basically all the new modern systems, is designed in such a way that it has backend and frontend is communicated with backend via API. So you have and you already had quite a lot of possibilities to get the data from Sycope via API. So obviously you can make API calls to Sycope to get any data that you are seeing on the widget as well. But right now we also added the option to put the data in Sycope via API calls. So we said to ourselves, okay, adding this feature is cool, but what will make people understand how cool and useful it is and how we can make it easy for people to do this? So how we can generate value for our customers. So we came up with the idea like this. There are two areas that we most commonly hear about when we talk about this kind of systems. One is packet level security inspection. So basically Suricata system or Zeek. And the other is SNMP polling. So mainly Zabbix, maybe Nagios. So we said, okay, if we have this capability to put the data from external systems to Sycope via API, this means that we can actually integrate all the knowledge from external systems in the Sycope API. So why having the information, for example, from Suricata in Sycope is so beneficial? So I see that there are quite a lot of people in the chat. If any one of you will want to share experience, please feel free to do this. But again, from our experience, when you are working with Suricata, let's say you have set up very good Suricata systems, you redefine the rules, you have all the thresholds, whatever you want. And Suricata is generating alerting for alerts for you. What to do with those alerts? Well, most of them, you will have the common 5 tuple. Yeah, so protocol, IP, port. But nothing else. Of course, you will get a timestamp, but basically there will be no context about any of those IP addresses. So what do you get when you combine Sycope with Suricata? So if from Suricata, I know that something suspicious was in the communication in this 5 tuple, in this timestamp, I can get this information to Sycope and take the advantage of having the knowledge about the complete history of all the actions of both IP addresses in your system. So why it will be beneficial? Well, first of all, you will know if this particular IP that made Suricata trigger an alert for you had previous activity in your system. This is thing number one. And thing number two is that if you right now suspect that one of your internal IPs is, let's say, compromised, you can review its history. Was it doing something suspicious in your network? All right. So why I am saying we made it easy for you, and it is very easy to have this powerful results in your system, and how does it look like? So in our public GitHub repository, we have, I'm going to put this link on chat. We have published very simple Sycope scripts, Python scripts for Sycope and for those integrations, but also we created dashboards for you to take advantage of that. So as you can see, there is like this brief information about the temple. Yeah, it's what it concludes. So for example, when you move to Suricata, in here you'll get the information that you have basically three components in integration like this. You need to have a Sycope system, obviously. You need to have a working Suricata system that generates JSON-based security events. And you have the script that you are reviewing right now. So three components: Sycope, Suricata, and the script that is putting information from Suricata to Sycope. So we expect you to set it up, you to make it run periodically, but we gave you all the tools to do this. And why we chose this particular approach, I will discuss that in a second. But basically in here, you will always have install and uninstall script. So install and uninstall scripts, what we'll do, they will basically create those custom index to make Sycope ready to ingest new data from either Suricata, Zabbix, or any other system. Yeah. So for example, when we want to install, let me get this font bigger for you. When we want to install Suricata, as you can see, we need to create a stream within the Sycope that will have information about timestamp, flow ID, so the information from Suricata, source IP, source port, and so on, but also alert action, alert identifier, and so on and so on. So this script will go to Sycope, will create a connection, create this index with the definition that I just showed you above, and log out. So as you can see, creating the index with this tooling is very, very easy. Yeah? And it doesn't require you to do anything complicated. So after the installation process, you can review configuration. And again, configuration is very, very simple. Basically, tell me where is my Sycope host, what are the credentials to log in, and where is the file with Suricata alerts that I want to connect. And again, probably the easiest setup is to run this particular Python script on your host that is running Suricata, because then you don't have to do any external communication. But absolutely nothing stops you to have it on a third host, log in via SSH to your Suricata, copy the JSON file, and so on and so on. So we have plenty of flexibility in terms of how you want to do this. And this, again, will view this file. So this is the main processing file. It reads the configuration, and basically it reads the text file that is created by Suricata, checks in Sycope what are the newest entries, and adds entries that are newer than the one that we already have. And let me show you how it looks in Sycope. So when I go to raw data, and in here I select other, in other I can see that I have Suricata stream. So as you can see, those values are already being created as a copy from my Suricata log events. And I can see what kind of type of signature attack I have in here. Yeah. So for example, I can say, well, let's see what I have in here. I see that either I have stream established, packet invalid, or maybe, I don't know, external lookup. Maybe this is something that I'm interested in. And I can see which source IP with which destination IP. Again, all those values in here are obviously synthetic. They are not true alerts, but I just am willing to show you the workflow in here. Yeah. So one more thing that you will find in all those folders is a dashboard folder or dashboards folder. And as you can see, you have this dashboard JSON that you can easily import in your Sycope system. So for example, when you take this script, you make the installation, you set up your data, and then you import the script, you will see something like this. So you can have Suricata dashboard that, for example, allows you to say, okay, how many alerts I have for which IP, what kind of alerts I have in here. And again, you can do it in just like everything in Sycope. You can specify the time range. For example, let's say I'm interested in last hour, okay, and then I can say, well, I want to view only the data for this particular IP. I can add it to filters, and then I can see, okay, this IP had those type of alerts, and so on and so on. So again, why this is so beneficial? Well, this is so beneficial because I can right-click on that, go to drill down, and go, for example, to client IP details. So as you can see at the beginning, it will say, well, I have a problem because I have different naming on the columns. Yeah. So in Suricata, you have source IP, and in Sycope, you have a client IP and server IP. Yeah. So I can say, well, I can move it to something else, but I'm already in this dashboard. So one thing to note that this we made this repository in GitHub public, and we are still working on that. So whenever we'll get any feedback from the customers, we will improve those scripts over time. Yeah. So this is like a, let's say, first iteration of our proof of concept. Yeah. But when I already know, either from raw data or wherever else, that yes, I have this IP and this IP, like I said, I can review everything that I want from the history in the netlog. I'm running short of time because there are so many cool things to show you, but the other thing that I want to show you is how to do it with any other system via API. So Zabbix integration that we created for you in here assumes that you A, have a working Zabbix system, B, have a Sycope system, and you will be running this script. And this script has actually two things to run. So one thing is that you can synchronize your lookups. So in Zabbix system, very often you have this static table about the information about your particular, let's say, IP addresses. So Zabbix lookup synchronization will take one information about how you map particular IP address to some values and put it in your Sycope system. And Zabbix statistics will take the value every minute that you monitor via SNMP, so CPU usage, network usage, whatever you're monitoring and whatever you have set up in your Zabbix system. And again, you have this dashboard folder, but we also added folders for drill downs and fields. So basically, this allows you to import all the components that you might need to your Sycope system. So how it works with Zabbix integration. So as you can see, again, in my raw data, right now I have in other, I have a stream called Zabbix stats. Yeah. So in here, as you can see, for each minute, I will have for all the IP addresses that I want to follow. So again, in here in the configuration, you have this configuration for connection. And in here for Zabbix statistics, you can specify for what IP addresses you want to get the data from Zabbix. So you can specify whatever you want. It's all up to you. Yeah. So for all those addresses that I just specified in my particular installation, I will get those values. So as you can see, I will get host name that is defined in Zabbix, but I will see also response time, CPU load, memory usage, what was the packet loss, and so on. Yeah. So I can go right-click in here, go drill down, and move to my Zabbix drill down that I haven't add it yet. So maybe I'm gonna add it. Maybe I'm gonna add it now. I can go to Zabbix. I can go to Zabbix statistics, go for drill down, and I want to have it for IPs. All right, save. Yeah. So right now I can go drill down. I think I forgot to change the name, but I can move to Zabbix statistics. And as you can see, I have the ability to view my Zabbix statistics in this particular system. So again, we discussed what is the advantage of having data from Suricata in Sycope, because you have the history of NetFlow. So what is the advantage of having everything from Zabbix you want in Sycope? So if any one of you have worked with Zabbix or any other SNMP system, you know that it is very tedious to make all those configurations, setups, and everything together. So we know that, well, Zabbix is a great product. They made all this wizards, configurators, and so on to configure your stack. They have very good poller to get the data via SNMP from all the assets you might want to have. But they are not that flexible in terms of user interface. They are not that modern, if I may say so. And what is also potentially problematic is that you don't have the other informations. Yeah. So when you have multiple systems, you usually want to copy the data from the place where you have little information to the place where you have a lot of information, because it's easier to move a little information than a lot of information. And when you compare the volume of data in SNMP systems and NetFlow systems, there is a lot more data in NetFlow systems. So the efficiency of our database and our modern, very flexible user interface that basically allows you to make any dashboards you want, we think that it's very beneficial to move the information from Zabbix to Sycope. And again, what does it give you? Let's say you have the network performance problem and you see that, I don't know, either you have a packet loss or long waiting times or whatever. Yeah. With one right click, after you did the Zabbix integration, you can immediately see, is there a problem with memory usage in this particular host? Is there a problem with CPU usage with this particular host? And so on and so on. So again, we understood the feedback of our customers that, you know, having the data from other systems, for example, SNMP, Zabbix, or Suricata, will be very beneficial, because I need to join multiple data sources to make my analysis complete and to gather the answers to the reason, to know the reasons of my problems very, very quickly in one place. And again, our redesigned right context menu will make you move very, very quickly to wherever you want. And I think this is the best of both worlds. So having great user interface, very flexible, modern looking dashboards, very performant database of Sycope, and getting all the established configuration of, for example, SNMP for Zabbix, or getting the very efficient engine of packet level inspection and analysis for Suricata, or whatever you want. But let's now discuss why we chose this solution. So what we could do is, you know, do something internally and give you only one option. So give you graphical interface in which you will say, okay, my Zabbix is in here, I want to do something like this. So why we decided to make the scripts available to you in Python? Because let's say, I don't know, you are not using Zabbix, you are using Nagios. All you need to do is review our script, look at one particular part where we are making API calls to Zabbix, and change it so it is in line with Nagios. You can also hire us with our professional services to make it for you. We'll hopefully make more and more integrations like this public for free. But we started with those two to show you that basically, if you have any other external systems, I don't care if you are storing your data in some other database. If you want to get the data from API, or you want to get the data from a text file, and you will have the ability to run periodically, let's say a Python script. And again, we chose Python because it's very easy to read, it's performant enough, and it is the most popular programming language in the world right now. Yeah? So I hope that you now see that if there is any other system, I don't care if this is the CMDB or SNMP, or I don't know, some static inventory of your own internal system that provides API or whatever else it is, if you have the information in there to make it easier for you to solve your problems that are related to anything that is in the network, probably the best way is to get the data from there, put it in Sycope. All right. And because of the formula of our webinar, let me know if you have any questions, because I cannot see you, I don't see your faces, I don't see your reactions. And if you are not, putting your questions directly in the chat, I won't be able to answer. All right. So let me tell you about some small other things that we also changed and added. And after that, we will move to question and answers, and hopefully by the end, you will have questions for me. So what else changed? So first of all, I want to tell you about some small changes, or maybe not so small, in our security model. So there are two types of changes that are basically invisible for you when you look directly. So one is that we reviewed all our templates for security rules. And we said, well, let's think about it critically. Let's analyze the feedback that we get from customers, and maybe we can improve them. So sometimes we didn't change anything. Sometimes the changes are very, very small. For example, we changed the score from 5 to 7 or 7 to 5 or something like this. Sometimes we changed the default threshold, and sometimes we added a new rule. So these are the templates I am talking about. And one thing to remind you is that if you already have a rule defined, when you update Sycope, we will not change it, okay? You already have this rule. So we are only updating templates, and if you use them and you apply them to a new rule, you will have the new value or new security rules based from new templates. One thing that is very, very cool, I think, is that we created a global whitelist that is now also present in multiple rules. So in your lookups, you can define IPs that, for example, you want to have whitelisted globally, because for certain you know that you don't want to alert for this particular IP because of whatever it is. Yeah. So we added that, but again, you don't have to use it. And what we also improved upon are our CTI streams. So, or CTI feeds. So as you know, Sycope is repeatedly updating the CTI feeds from our servers, and we changed the procedure in how we generate our custom feeds, CTI feeds, and how we validate each entry in there to have a lower number of false positives, right? Okay. And the other thing that changed in the security model is how the alert manager looks like. So those changes are fairly small. So one thing that we allow right now, so in this particular system, I don't have any alerts or many alerts. Let me see. Yeah, in this one, I don't have the alerts field, but we change the bulk action. So right now you can have bulk action in here. Maybe let me check quickly if I can show you the other system. Maybe in here we have something to show you in here. All right. Yeah, this one is empty as well. Okay, so basically we changed the classifications and status. So previously you have those two binary fields that you can either say something was a false positive or not, and if something was acknowledged and it isn't. So right now we change it to multi-level value. So we have more options for both classification and status, and we created a new dashboards, so it is easier for you and your team to track your progress, to see which alerts are assigned to you and what is their status. So it's much easier to see what alerts are assigned to me, how many I classified, what type, and so on and so on. And yeah, if you have more alerts present, it's much easier to see. I'll try to show you this the next time we meet. And the other module where we also introduce some changes is asset discovery. And in asset discovery, we have two new options. So first of all, right now we have the new drill down added. So when you go right click and you have drill down, you should see a new, sorry, this is the wrong system. When you go in here, you should have in the drill down asset device drill downs that are now present. So those two are models, but you also have asset device view, and asset device view will give you specific information about this particular IP. Yeah, so this is very characteristic to working with assets as hosts. So you can see if it's active, the activity is monitored based on the network activity. So if something was active within the last 3 minutes, we see any network traffic, we say it was active. And if not, we say it was inactive. But in the history, we can also see in which lookups it's present, for which traffic rules it worked, how many connections it had, and so on and so on. So this is a very, very useful dashboard with our asset device module that will give you detailed information about a particular asset. All right. So yeah, we have more changes, but again, I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to refer you to the documentation. So you go to the documentation and review our release notes. You have more complete information and description about the changes that we made for the new release, because again, 1 hour is definitely too short for this particular release to tell you about all the changes. Okay, guys, if you do not have any questions, as you might not have because everything is very, very new to you, please do not hesitate to contact us, okay? We are really, really excited about this release. We already have some very positive feedback regarding how useful it is to have this integration. So either data from Suricata or from external systems in Sycope, because it will make you much easier. Okay, guys, so this is it for me for today. Thank you very, very much for this meeting. Hopefully we will meet each other in person and later on, because again, we are extremely excited about Sycopes. We love the feedback that we are getting from our customers that are already using our Sycope system in the newest version, and the first feedback that we get from customers that already are testing our integrations. So thank you for that. As usual, do not hesitate to contact us, for example, via contact@Sycope. This question will be redirected if it applies to me immediately. Me, Marcin, Paweł, all our team are eager to talk to you, to show you how cool it is to use our systems. Okay, thank you very much and goodbye.